So you hear this all the time, right? Business agility. Everybody wants it, but what does that actually mean in the real world? Well, it often boils down to this one incredibly powerful idea, the concept of flow. So today, let's break down exactly what it is and why getting it right is so critical.
And wow, this quote really nails it. The idea of creating a steady, continuous flow isn't some minor process tweak. No, it's a fundamental shift in how you see your work. And like the authors of Lean Thinking said, it literally changes everything. It's the secret sauce for delivering value faster and more predictably than you ever thought possible.
All right, so let's start with the absolute basics. What are we even talking about when we use the word flow? And maybe more importantly, why is it suddenly mission critical for pretty much every organization out there? Let's dive in.
At its heart, flow is a beautifully simple idea. Just picture a river, right? When it's flowing freely, it moves fast, it's efficient. But if you throw in a bunch of rocks, build some dams, it gets all blocked up and sluggish. It's the exact same thing with our work. Flow is that state where work just moves smoothly from one step to the next, with way fewer handoffs, frustrating delays, or having to do things over.
Okay, but why is this so important right now? Well, because in today's digital age, just having a great product, that's not enough anymore. Not even close. You have to deliver value to your customers quickly, and you have to do it continuously. Speed is the new currency, and you simply cannot achieve that kind of speed without a smooth, predictable flow. Honestly, it's a matter of survival.
So, the big question is, how do we actually create the state of flow, especially when you're talking about a large, complex organization? Well, this is where the Scaled Agile Framework, or SAFe, really shines. You can think of it as a complete playbook that's specifically designed to build a system for speed.
And you have to understand, for a lot of companies, this is a massive shift in thinking. The old way was all about separate projects with hard start and end dates, which, let's be honest, usually created a ton of silos and delays. SAFe completely flips that model on its head. It organizes the entire enterprise around one thing, the continuous delivery of value. It makes flow the central principle for how everything gets done.
And the cool thing is, SAFe gives you a clear path to get there through what it calls its core competencies. As your organization gets better at everything, from team and technical agility, which is how the actual work gets done, all the way up to lean portfolio management, which is how you make the big strategic decisions, the entire system just becomes more efficient, and that directly improves flow.
In fact, SAFe boils this whole philosophy down into one simple, powerful rule. It's their sixth principle: make value flow without interruptions. That's it. That's the mantra. Everything else we're about to talk about is designed to make this one sentence a reality.
And this brings us to the really practical part. If that principle is the why, then these 8 flow accelerators are the how. SAFe gives you a concrete toolkit that anyone in any organization can use to find and fix whatever's blocking their flow.
Yep, that's right, there are 8 of them. 8 specific, powerful practices that really act as levers you can pull to diagnose what's going on and, well, accelerate the delivery of value. Let's take a quick look at what they are.
Okay, here's the toolkit. Each of these 8 accelerators targets a really common cause of delay. For instance, visualizing and limiting your work in progress, or WIP, stops teams from getting overloaded. Working in smaller batches gets you feedback way faster. They all serve one primary purpose: to remove the friction from your system.
Now here's a really crucial point. These accelerators aren't just for your development teams. See, the concept of flow is fractal, and that's just a fancy way of saying that the same types of interruptions pop up at every single level of an organization, from one person on one team all the way up to the entire portfolio.
And here's what that actually looks like. For a single team, a bottleneck might be a skills gap. For an agile release train or an ART, it could be that your batch sizes are just too big, delaying critical feedback. And at the portfolio level, a bottleneck could be as simple as leaders not being aligned, which stalls every important decision. See? Same problem, different scale.
So we have the tools, we have the concepts, but this brings us to what might be the most vital point of all. Having a great toolkit is one thing, but making these changes actually stick, well, that requires a lot more than just a new process. It requires a real shift in culture, and that shift needs a guide.
You can't just hand someone this list of 8 accelerators and expect magic to happen. It just doesn't work that way. Truly accelerating flow is a specialized skill. It requires experienced coaches and lean agile leaders who can help everyone in the organization to see the whole system, identify the real problems, and then apply these practices in the right way.
So what do these coaches actually do? Well, they're the ones facilitating huge efforts like value stream mapping to make the entire process visible from end to end. They help establish systems like Kanban to manage the work. But probably their most critical job is to cultivate that flow mindset across the entire company culture.
And of course, you know the old saying, you can't improve what you don't measure. This is where Safe's 6 key flow metrics are absolutely essential. These aren't just for show and tell. They give you hard data on things like flow time, how long stuff actually takes, and flow efficiency, how much of that time is spent just waiting around. This data is the only way you'll know if the changes you're making are actually working.
So if you take just one thing away from all of this, let it be this: establishing, measuring, and then relentlessly improving the flow of value is no longer optional. It's not a nice to have, it is the core engine that drives business agility and allows modern organizations to compete and win.
And that leaves us with one final thought, a question to take back to your own team, to your own organization. As you look at how work gets done where you are, from the first idea all the way to delivery, just ask yourself this: what is the single biggest rock, the biggest interruption in your river of value? Because finding it and then removing it, well, that's the first step to changing everything.